In transformation, when 2% of a population begin to think in more liberated and spiritually open ways, a new level of consciousness will awaken, bringing about a new reality for the total population. Join me, Jael McLean, confidence coach, business owner, musician, health and fitness enthusiast, transformational instigator, and your host of the 2% podcast in creating a new reality of spiritual awareness, confidence, and authenticity. Hello and welcome to the 2% Podcast Season 2, your source for empowerment, expansion, and elevation. Today we're joined by my friend, professional, personal, and executive coach, transformational corporate trainer, and feminine power teacher, Liz Habor Zambrano.
Hi, thank you. Happy to be here.
Liz, I heard of you from some other transformational trainers that were my coaches in the redesign program about 2.5 years ago. And you also are a professional, accredited certified coach. I found out you also graduated from Ideal Coaching Global and finally reached out to you to connect.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you did. I remember you said, I have a podcast called the 2% Podcast. Would you be interested in being a guest? And I wrote back, I will be a part of anything called the 2%.
Awesome.
Anything. Yeah. So 100%. I love that I'm here.
So thank you. So to get into today's episode, what are you experiencing out in the world and how can we create an impact?
Ooh, okay. I'm thinking about some of the conversations I've been having with my clients recently, and right now it's winter here in the States, right? We're like going into a season of winter, and I'm aware that in other parts of the world it's summer, but here it's winter, and there's almost like a feeling of wanting to like not be as productive, slow down. Sometimes we call it like being lazy or like resting, but it's also associated, what I'm finding with my clients is associated with some like shame or beat up because we're supposed to be doing stuff. And so I was exploring this conversation about like, is it that we live in a culture that's constantly asking us to be producing, be productive. Our worth is wrapped up in what we do and what we produce. And perhaps people are being in tune with the season and what's being called for. Like if you look at the planet when it's winter, it's a going in, it's a letting things fall away. Like we're not starting any new projects right now. We're resting. And even though it doesn't look like much is happening under the surface, like seeds are germinating, there's stuff happening under there and they get sprouted in spring and summer. But what if instead of making it like there's something wrong with us, or maybe I have like seasonal depression or there's something like wrong, what if we leaned into what the season is actually calling for?
Thank you for bringing this topic. You're talking to a hyperachiever. I'm a recovering doer, and I've been able to start cultivating that in my life, like letting myself rest and self-care, and I don't always have to be busy, and that I can simply be, and I can allow myself time to recover without shame, without putting pressure on myself, and without really bringing in like the weight of expectations that I make up in my own mind.
Well said. Yes. And so many of my clients are also really high achievers. So this is a new energy for them, or they have guilt around wanting to sleep in or not wanting to start a new project. And just like you said, what if we gave ourselves permission and said, okay, I'm going to be in tune with what's happening, and then see what gets birthed from that,
How can we begin to shift that experience that many of us fall into?
First, I'm going to say it starts with making it okay within yourself. Like it has to be okay, because if inside you have these like internal rules or beliefs that say if I'm not productive, if I'm not doing things, then I'm useless. Like if you have that in you, we've got to rewrite some of those rules and like make it okay. And sometimes what I see is people will only rest when they feel like they deserve it. Like I've done so many things, now I'm allowed to rest. That especially high achievers, super achievers, is like a common thread. Not even making it like you have to earn it. Like you don't have to earn it. Like starting with just simply giving yourself permission. And of course, there are things that need to be done. And we know what those basic essential things are that need to be done. Anything else, especially right now in this time of the holidays, when there's so much pressure externally to do a lot of things, have decorations, make cookies, get gifts, go shopping, wrap the gifts, da 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 da. Like, what if we said something else? What if we said, we started with, it's okay to rest, it's okay to not be perfect, it's okay to allow ourselves to take some time and be, like you said.
You speak into like perfection, and I would also say I'm a recovering perfectionist, even though perfection doesn't truly exist. Like that's another made up bar that we set, or bar that I have set definitely on myself. So can you speak into like that perfectionism and how it's really present right now because of the holidays and family and visitors and gifts, and there's so much that does get done in this season?
Sure. Yeah. Well, if we have our value and worth wrapped up in things outside of us, we're going to strive to make those things outside of us perfect. So then we feel like we're fulfilled and we're enough and we're perfect. But you said something really important. Perfection does not exist. And what actually ends up happening is we feel anxiety, we feel stress, we feel overwhelmed. And we may pull it off, whatever it is. We may absolutely pull it off and we'll get accolades and people will praise us. But what it took on the inside to get to that place, at some point, we've got to ask ourselves, is that worth it? Is that worth it? Because within perfectionism, you're seeking outside of yourself for validation, right? So if people tell me I did a great job, if people are so proud of me, then I'm enough. If we reframe the reference point internally to I am enough, period. Not I am enough because I XYZ. Not I am enough because I bring value here. Not I am enough because, but I am enough, period. Our relationship to doing those other things like getting gifts or making cookies or decorating things will actually, you can still do those things, but it will be when you have the reference point of I am enough there, and you're not striving to make anything perfect, you actually can do it with joy as opposed to anxiety and stress.
I've been able to get there with different, at different times in this work. Talk to me about work life harmony. All of that stuff is happening, and work is still happening for many of us.
Okay. Love that you brought that up. And you said harmony. So a lot of times we're used to hearing work-life balance. And I choose to use the word harmony because work-life balance is like work is over here and the rest of your life, if you imagine a seesaw, is on the other side and you're trying to make it equal. And that is not a reality. That's not actually the way that it is. Our life is made up of different domains of things that matter to us. So in that life is things like health, family, our relationship with our partners or romantic relationships, recreation, service, hobbies, play, travel, like all the parts that make up the life that you have or the life that you want to have. So the metaphor of work-life harmony, think of all of those parts of your life, those domains of your life that matter to you as chords. And together, when they're all working together, they sing a beautiful melody or they make beautiful music. But sometimes some of the chords are out of tune. And other times, one of the chords is going to be singing the melody. So there will be times, what I mean by that is there will be times in your life where work is taking up a huge chunk of your life. Like you're working on a new project, you're launching a new product, or maybe you're an accountant and it's tax season. Like there's times, we all know what that is, our crunch times. That's okay. That's okay in short periods of time, but it also, when that's happening, it doesn't mean that you ignore the other domains of your life. So it may be the case that you don't have the time to add to those other domains of your life, but what I argue is that if you can add present attention to those other domains of your life, it can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and you can absolutely feed those other domains. So, like, let's say you have 10 present minutes with your kids where you are with them, present in whatever they're doing. A lot more impactful than an hour with them and you're on your cell phone scrolling for half of the time or they're watching TV, right? So we may only have 10 minutes. Okay, I'm going to have 10 minutes. Or maybe exercise. You don't have time to be in the gym for an hour, but maybe you have, 15 minutes of cardio or a hit or something like that to add to make sure that you exercise or you stretch or something. So you can still hit the domains. It doesn't mean that I don't have time for this. I ignore it, because when we ignore it, those chords will eventually start singing and we're not going to like the melody. Like if you ignore your health completely, eventually health is going to take over. Or if you ignore your relationships completely, eventually that is going to take over. So this way, we're always trying to feed the different domains. But again, it doesn't have to be with an abundance of time. Instead, it can be with present attention. And then sometimes you're in a season where you do have an abundance of time. And perhaps work is singing things are doing well and it's not taking up that much of your time. And you're able to spend tons of time with your family or traveling or hours in the gym, whatever that is. It flows. It flows.
Oh man, I love this so much. I'm guilty of being a very all or nothing personality. Like I'm in it, and then at times it's at the cost of something else. I absolutely love this conversation of it's not about time. It's about hit them all with an abundance of presence.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I hope everyone out there is hearing that like I'm hearing. I hope that's landing for everyone. I want to make the invitation for the viewers and listeners and the 2%ers. Come from that abundance of attention or abundance of presence.
Yeah. Yes. And some of the habits that keep that going is practicing meditation. That's one really great habit that we can practice. And again, we may not have, sitting for 30 minutes energy, but we may have 60 seconds, 3 minutes. That actually goes a long way, because think about it. Are there other times in our day that we intentionally are completely present? Probably not. So if you can put those in, minute here, minute there, of complete attention, it helps you exercise that muscle that allows you to be present with your partner for 15 minutes or present with your kids or exercising and paying attention to what's happening in your body while you're doing it. Meditation.
You're a feminine power teacher. Would you tell me more about the masculine and feminine dynamics?
Sure. Yes, that is a concept that I use in my coaching and programs that I've offered in the past. So, masculine feminine dynamics are energies that operate in the universe. You can find it everywhere. And it's not, a lot of times it gets collapsed with gender. It's not gender and it's not sex. It's more of energies. You can also think about a yin yang. So, yin energy and yang energy, same thing. Um, and really, it's about being able to incorporate both energies to have a full life. So, masculine energy tends to be, if you think about it, it's a doing energy. It gets stuff done, it's directional, it's linear, meaning this is what I'm going to do and this is what I'm going to do. And it goes from A to Z very, very easily. And it's a giving energy. That's like masculine energy. And then feminine energy is an energy of being. So you have the doing, the feminine is the being. It is in tune, it's intuitive, it's in tune with the cycles, with nature. It's circular. So if you have the masculine is more like linear, this is circular. And if the masculine's more about action, again, this is about being present, being in your body, being all of the things. And it's a more fluid energy. And a lot of times, what happens, especially in our culture, that we have so much, we definitely lean masculine energy in this country. So we lean masculine energy, but if you don't have the balance of the feminine energy, what ends up happening is the masculine energy, we will um, go until we run ourselves into the ground. Like burnout is a real conversation in our culture because that happens a lot. Like there's no in being in tune and stopping and breaking and resting. We'll build and build and build till we take over the whole planet at whatever costs, that's the kind of things that happen when masculine energy is not accompanied with the feminine. And what I've noticed more and more is that feminine energy, especially since the pandemic, like we've been teaching this before that, but especially since the pandemic, and we all had a moment of pause and rest. Feminine energy is becoming more realized for its value. Like we didn't value it as much before. And there's a realization of, hey, we need to slow down and check in and see what's going on and rest and consider other things in our life and what does make a quality life. Like we're asking these types of questions. And again, I want to say it's not about gender. Like we all have both dynamics. In fact, when I speak, especially high performing women that I work with, they resonate much more with masculine energy than feminine energy. And it's not that masculine energy is bad. Like there's places, once you have access to both energies, like there's places where I do want to be in my masculine energy, like when it comes to running my business. Masculine energy, get shit done. If I was always in the feminine energy, nothing would ever get done. But when I'm at home with my partner and with my family, I want to be more in my feminine energy because that serves me, that serves my relationships, that serves my family. But I have access to it now. And a lot of times we're just so stuck in the masculine. And then we take that masculine energy and we bring it to our relationships. And we're like, why isn't this relationship working? It's like two masculine energies just not coming together, not melding.
Thank you so much. And that circles right back to, where we started the podcast about creating this harmony in our life, in our work, and, in all of these domains. What you said, meditation.
Yeah.
What is there any other invitation that you would have for the viewers as far as creating a practice or how to create that practice?
I love that you asked that, especially I have such a focus on practices Practices is what makes everything else possible in my life, in my daily life, and have access to these things. Otherwise, they're just like concepts that I forget about really easily. Practice is what makes them stick. And the other thing I would just say before I get into the what of the practices is, remember, it's called a practice. So if we're perfectionists and we resonate with that, and we say we're going to do something and we miss a day, or we don't do it the way that we said, or we messed up, I say that in quotation marks, we are less likely to go back to it. So when you're designing a practice, inherently in the practice design, I'm going to forget, I'm going to skip days, I'm going to mess up, I'm going to, be amazing some days, like you're going to have all of it. And it's a practice, and it's okay. Like, make all of that okay. Make all of it okay. So some practices, journaling, really great. And if I had talked to so many people that have a hard time journaling, start with, okay, I'm going to journal for 2 minutes. I'm going to journal for 2 minutes 5 times a week. You can do that, right? And then figure out where's the best time for you. Like for me, it's at night. And it works as like a brain dump. Like, let me just get stuff out of here onto here. And sometimes I see things that are in my thoughts that I didn't even realize were there, Meditation, another one. Movement is a great way, especially movement like dance, yoga. These are great ways to get into, if you're looking for ways to get more into your feminine energy, those are really great ways to access that and being in tune with your body. And I also make a case that cuddling is a spiritual practice. So cuddling in the morning, whether that's a person or a kid or an animal or a stuffed animal, I think that cuddling is a spiritual practice in a way to like ground yourself in connection in the morning, as well as I love to like make gratitude lists as well. What am I grateful for? And get connected to that too.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I loved all of this today.
Yeah.
Liz, how can the viewers get a hold of you, find you if they want executive coaching or personal coaching?
Sure. Thank you for asking. LizCoaching.com. So my company is Living in Zen. So LizCoaching.com. There you can find links to my socials. You can also book a discovery call with me and see what I'm up to. LizCoaching.com.
Awesome. Liz, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you on the 2% podcast today. And thank you to all the viewers, and we will see you on the next episode.
Yes, thank you so much. It was amazing.